I was interested in all the things that she was interested in at the same age. So I decided I was going to write what I know, and I went for it. I wrote the first 1,000 words, promptly entered a competition I forgot about, and I was contacted by one of the judges in the national first novel competition in a national newspaper, and they said, "Where's the rest of the book? We love this." So I said, "Pardon?" And I spent the next 2 years researching and writing the rest of the book. But Ava is based on me at the same age. All her interests, all her fears, family, all of that is based on my experiences. I had a roadkill body farm between the ages of 7 and 10 years old. And it all comes from my interest in biology in general, zoology specifically, life and death. So it would be equal to watch kittens being born in a rubbish tip outside the block of flats, as much as roadkill disintegrating by degrees and making a record of it. I would make as much progress about the kittens' development as they thrived, as much as the roadkill body farm, because it's all part of the same cycle. Very focused on the life and death cycles of mammals, very specifically, and skeleton structure. I think that with Seth, because I didn't want to create a very stereotypical detective who was drunk or had drug issues or was a womanizer or had all different types of issues. I didn't want him to be, the depressed detective. I wanted somebody who was obviously raised with love, who was well balanced, who had got all that childishness out of his system, and was a well-rounded human being. So that this child, who essentially doesn't have any of that kind of role model in her life, has at least one of them. And I wanted him to be the antithesis to all the adults that were around her. So I created Seth. And he's based on two men I knew, who were like that, who were supportive, who were grown-ups, who knew the difference between right and wrong, who actually liked women. So Seth was developed from that. And his name, the Delahaye, is named after a French classic car. I used to follow all kinds of real life police programs growing up. I have books from the 80s that are solely around the police forces in this country. I did have somebody who I could contact for certain details, who's a former chief detective. If I had any queries, I would email him and he would say, yes, this would be this way, or this would be this way, or we behave this way. So yes, I did have somebody who would keep me on the straight and narrow if I had any questions or doubts at all about what would happen in police procedure during the 1980s. Yes, I wanted it to predate DNA. So I wanted it to be old-fashioned, hard work, and nothing easy for Ava and for Seth as well, and police force, his team around him. I wanted it to make sure that it was grinding, it was tough, you didn't have, I mean, even in 1980, even in 1985, which is where the second book is set, it's still very much 100-year-old science they're still working with, which is blood grouping, secretor work, and fingerprints, and that's about it, really. The fact that the villain of the piece wouldn't have been on a DNA database anyway, for a whole host of reasons. But it would have made things a lot easier. And I wanted to set it in a time and in a place that had so much going on for it. The car factories, the huge schools, the mental hospitals, the children's home, the massive children's home, that sort of whole community, which isn't there anymore because the car factory closed down, the mental hospitals shut down, and there hasn't been that sort of busyness since, the 1990s. So I wanted to set it in a place which still had sort of a village sort of atmosphere to it, because the case in the book is based on 3 cases in history, which was also centered around a village, or villages. So I thought I would set it there at that time with those people. I didn't want to write it from his point of view. I think there are too many true crime TV series where we get to see it from the killer's point of view. I wanted to see it from a community's point of view, the victim's point of view, how child murder very specifically fractures whole communities. So I thought that I would create a villain who was very complicated and was like no other villain that I could think of, except the historical cases. The villain's very complicated. You know, he has more than mother issues. He's got loads of things going on which have influenced him to a point where he behaves in a way that he knows is wrong, but does what he does anyway, which is what a lot of bad people do. But I wanted somebody that you could almost sympathize with to a level.